ISO, boom, there's a new Pixar movie that came out. The trailers are looking really cool. The characters seem really lively and different. The animation is super expressive, and the dialogue, the comedy, the action is super clean. Like, it reminds me of anime a little bit. I see some Scott Pilgrim vibes. I don't know if that's only me. I see some other media in there popping up a bit. And the main character is not only a person of color, but also an Asian girl. You know, it's looking nice. It's looking cool. It's looking lit. Like, we eating right now.
Oh my mama, we lit! Bro, please, bro, why you?
Why can't we have nothing nice? Why? So, Turning Red. There's been a lot of discourse around Turning Red, specifically for what it's about. Turning Red has a very specific, but still can be, broad audience. People are pulling different themes and stories from Turning Red. Some people are saying that they don't relate to Turning Red because it's not meant for them or tells an unrelatable story. Some people took Turning Red as against family and disrespectful towards elders. Somehow. Most takeaways are valid and can coexist. Turning Red is a coming-of-age movie that demonstrates the aspects of growing up in many different but coexisting influences. Heavy spoiler warning, by the way. I'm gonna be talking about pretty much the whole entire movie, so yeah. Turning Red takes place in 2002, the beginning of a new decade. It's the early 2000s. It was an extremely unique experience to be in. Like, you just kind of had to be there. I'm dead talking like I wasn't in fucking Pampers in the early 2000s. Entering the 2000s came a wave of new formed expression for kids and teens alike, and that experience and new expression is greatly reflected within the movie. The fashion of the characters, though reoccurring today, most definitely originated in the early 2000s, especially you see with like the Y2K, the kidcore, the goth, the skater, etc, etc. The way the characters talk to each other and their dialect was very natural and not only fitting for the time, but fitting for teens in general. With Stacy's kind of Valley Girl accent, uses of the phrase like OMG, the bomb, and sister. Like, the interaction between the girls and Tyler at school was so natural. By the way, I just peeped that Priya was dead ass casting a spell on Tyler and shit got me weak as hell, I'm gonna be so honest. May has a Tamagotchi, there's references to Nokia, old cameras, the primary use of music on DVDs, and other old technology. Foretown and their strong importance to the kids, as were early hip-hop boy bands of the early 2000s and late 90s like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. There's references to Destiny's Child, the Cha-Cha Slide, just saying Cupid Shuffle's better, don't murder me. The general music of Turning Red mixing early 2000s style of music along with the Cantonese music. Like, I was already obsessed with the way We Don't Talk About Bruno meshed all those like different verses together, but god damn, the way that Nobody Like You and the Cantonese chants mixed together was both like thematically and sonically like, chef's kiss, beautiful. And there's so much more little bits here and there that I probably missed. Overall, the movie got all the nostalgia points and hit them very organically. Like, I know May's kind of a self-insert of the director and all, but you can tell that she put her own experiences during that time period into the film. I've made an observation that for some reason we are unnecessarily like mean towards teen girls and their interests, like OD. Like, for some of y'all, y'all thrive off of shitting on teen girls. It's crazy. Teen girls back in that time would get pressed for liking things like Twilight and being obsessed with boy bands, and all the boys could get away with doing pretty much similar or same things. This low-key led me to the realization though that a Goofy movie is basically a boy version of Turning Red. Now hear me out, just listen. There's a lot of similarities between the two if you look at it. Being both movies about coming of age and teen years, finding yourself, finding the strength to voice out and express yourself, and just standing out and all that. And a Goofy movie is praised, rightfully so, for that message, while Turning Red caught mad flack. I'm just saying. I like how the movie, however, doesn't outwardly make fun of May and her friends for simply existing as teen girls. It's nice to see a relatively confident and bold main character who is, for the most part, proud and assured of herself, only really lacking that reassurance from her family. It's so nice to see a healthy and loving friend group with no dragged out internal drama. Like, May's friend group is so supportive both physically and emotionally. They show very big gestures of positivity, but also small ones too. too. Miriam, Priya, and Abby tell May about how they barely get to hang out with her, but they still respect the fact that she wants to spend time with her mother too. Miriam always gets serious when May is distressed, and she notices that May is off and cares about if she's alright.
What's with your face?
Abby and Priya are actually good friends and tell May about her smelling and help her without, making her feel like dog shit for it. Priya offering extra pads for May. Miriam compliments the change in hair and mentions her love for May when she unpandas. Priya and Abby immediately love the panda and openly express how it gives them joy. They defend May when Tyler bothers her and when Stacy finds out about the panda. During Tyler's party, instead of asking May why she can't panda and pressuring her to, they instead just offer to not go to the concert. The group encourages May to keep the panda because they see that embracing the panda allows her to be more free and happier overall. During the concert, they forgave May after her first apology and didn't hold grudges really. Like, the list goes on and on and on with this friend group. It's crazy because this positivity ain't only reserved for the main girls. Stacy and the other girls find her panda adorable instead of bullying her.
I'll give you anything. Money, my kidney, my
soul.
I know a lot of people are tight about this especially, but I loved how they forgave Tyler immediately and they brought him into the group with open arms. That moment really showed that the overall vibes of the characters are positive, and it shows that not every childhood relationship has to have some type of enemy, and that sometimes enemies can easily become friends with some commonality, especially at that age. This friend group overall surprised me because I was genuinely taken aback by the sheer natural positivity the group had. None of it felt forced and it felt organic. To be honest though, I know damn well younger me probably would have just been like Tyler, distancing myself from the group outwardly and stuff like that, knowing damn well I'd come home like watching A&Vs and listening to Nightcore and all that. This is the most common theme I see people run with, as well as the theme that seems to have everyone bugging. For some reason, full-blown adults are having fits about the mentioning of certain aspects in women's puberty. Like, oh no, my kids are going to be exposed to something that they're going to encounter pretty soon. Oh no, I'm going to have to explain to them a normal bodily function that can occur around their age. Oh no, I actually have to do my damn job as a parent.
Don't get worked up again.
The movie even directly shows that not warning preparing your kids for challenges they're going to face will only lead them to be fearful, unconfident, and unable to manage those challenges on their own. May would have been so much more prepared for the panda and not, fucked up half of Toronto if her mother just told her about it sooner. Even the movie shows the distress that May went through because she wasn't aware of what was happening to her, when May could have just easily done her damn job as a parent and warn her. Like, I understand there are certain things that children would be better off not knowing or worrying about until they're older, but not informing your child about something that is inevitably and fairly soon going to happen to them is directly more of a disservice. And besides, there's always a way to explain shit to kids without scaring them. Parents often underestimate what children already know and what they can and cannot comprehend. And for certain topics, parents are probably the best or only source of that information. Like, for example, and I know this one's kind of out there, but just hear me out. I did learn about from older students in my school, probably around like age 8 to 10, and it was quite a very inaccurate and very wrong interpretation, might I add. And the only reason I got the talk from my parents is because I explicitly kept bothering them about it and saying quite literally the wildest, most out of pocket, most egregious shit to come out of a kid's mouth. Y'all would have double take hearing an adult saying this shit. And here's the kicker. I know they weren't going to teach me that stuff either way because my mother explicitly told me that she was just going to wait and hope that my school does. Plus, I know people who personally never actually got the talk from their parents. Talking about things in a safe, digestible manner to your kids is important because a lot of schools may not teach these touchy topics until very late or even at all. Some parents were mad that the movie discussed topics that they see as too mature for kids because they showed May outwardly having crushes and saying the word sexy. A good video talking about this whole issue is Jesse Gender's video. I'll put in like the description or something like that. But to sum it up, is because of the societal stigma against girls, especially young girls, experiencing and showing strong attraction. And going back to a Goofy movie, we even see that with Max. Max is fiending for Roxanne, but it's only an issue when May does it. It's crazy. Attraction is a naturally occurring thing in most people who go through puberty, so shielding your kids from it is just only gonna make them feel like something's wrong with them for having those feelings and not preparing them as to how to manage those feelings. Turning Red overall does a nice job of mentioning, demonstrating, and normalizing different aspects of women's puberty and just puberty in general. The panda only being given to women is a great non-direct representation of periods in the first place. The movie forwardly showing the pressure and shame that girls feel about periods, while simultaneously normalizing periods and pads and the care needed and like the whole vitamin B. That was nice. Nice touch. May having crushes and more seemingly crushes that come on the fly. May and her friends being obsessed with Four Town and boys in general. Subtly mentioning body odor and other things that may come with puberty. Kids caring about seeming cool around their peers especially. Overall, the movie does a nice job of normalizing these awkward aspects of teen puberty without ridiculing anyone for it. Many people find May's divergence from her mother as disrespectful or that she's a brat. I'ma just go on a limb and just say they most likely come from a place of inexperience, especially in a situation kind of like May's. They completely missed the point of May's character and her story. Like, y'all acting like we didn't just watch the same damn movie. Multiple times throughout the story, May has shown that she strongly respects her family and doesn't want to break it apart. Her lying about her life before and after the panda was in order to maintain the respect of her family. May lying to her parents about what calms the panda down was in order for her family to still feel close and loved by her. May throwing her friends under the bus and not telling her mom that it was her idea to market the panda and her idea to see Ford Town was in order to preserve her mother's respect and love. May attempting to go through the ritual after she had spent so much time enjoying and living through the panda was because she wanted to please her mother and her family. Even after May whooped Ming's ass, she was the first one to try and help her. May even directly says twice in the movie that she fears losing the connection with her mother. Saying that Turning Red is a movie to encourage kids to be blatantly disrespectful is bullshit. It's disingenuous and a complete lie. What the movie is trying to demonstrate is an event where parents hinder their children's growth by disrespecting their child's wishes and their boundaries and being overprotective. This is why so many people who watched Turning Red resonated with the movie so much. I also think it's really important to emphasize the generational trauma and respect with Asian culture, because the specific way that May goes through her generational trauma is put in a very, Asian focused, Asian centered light. Even though yes, we could all relate to generational trauma that's passed down, but just like you see with Encanto versus Turning Red, they have a lot of differences. What made the generational trauma aspect of the movie so compelling, relatable, and overall great is the detail showing of both perspectives. We see that May's acting out is her just trying to maintain and be herself in a very suppressive environment. We also see that Ming's overprotection comes from both a place of love and care for her daughter, shown multiple times subtly and blatantly throughout the movie, but as well as her own fear from her own traumas, her own experiences, her mother, and her own panda. There's so much more I could go on about this, but I'm not going to go super deep into this aspect as this narrative is really big, really important. I feel like it deserves a video on its own. Overall, the depiction of the generational trauma and overprotective parenting is very accurate and quite thorough in showing the reasonings of both sides of the conflict.
The farther you go, the prouder I'll be.
I'm finally figuring out who I am.
So, removing any of these lenses from Turning Red doesn't allow Turning Red to be as complete and robust as it is. Even if it's somehow not relatable and you couldn't find a single thing you experienced or resonate with, you can still enjoy Turning Red without necessarily going through those experiences. Like, what is outwardly relatable about magical princesses or a space monkey fighting niggas or a sentient rubber band pirate? I'm not saying there's nothing relatable about any of these. I'm just saying that just like all media, what's outwardly shown doesn't have to be the most relatable aspect of it for that media to be considered good. People have always enjoyed media that have absolutely nothing to do with the situations that a real person would go through. A media isn't objectively bad simply because it doesn't relate to you. It's alright for media to have niches and to be targeted specifically for certain groups. Of course, it's harder for a person to relate to that media the further it is into a specific niche that you may not be in, but that's perfectly fine. It's not the specific situations or occurrences in the movie that necessarily matter, but it's the lessons portrayed. The panda is a strong representation of the many takeaways the movie can have. Even though most people took the red panda as a representation of puberty,
Did the red peony bloom?
No!
I saw the red panda as a representation of emotions along with the influences and pressure you get from a POC family. My takeaway is most likely due to the fact that I'm a cis man and went through a boy's puberty. So even though I could greatly empathize with the girl's puberty narrative because of the experiences told to me by my mother and other women, they're not my own experiences. However, I have experienced the effects of traumas passed down in the family and the great personality/emotional repression that some kids have to endure. The overprotective parents, the high expectations placed on you by your family and yourself, the feeling of being lost when you come to realize that who you want to be may differ from who your family expects you to be. I do believe, however, that a general reasoning for this whole confusion is due to the fact that Turning Red is very different from the typical Pixar formula. This causes people to come up with their own, and most often negative, preconceived notions before watching the movie. Hell, the movie was catching mad unnecessary heat since the first trailer dropped. Like, how y'all going to get mad in advance? I ain't the biggest Pixar head, but I've been growing up watching all their movies, and seeing Turning Red was definitely a breath of fresh air that is really appreciated and very much needed. And it's been so long since I've enjoyed a movie, let alone a kids movie like this. Like, aside from the initial watching and the few times I watched for this video, I genuinely rewatched the movie or clips from the movie multiple times because I just enjoyed it. Overall, the best description I could give for the movie is, well, as its own description states, a coming of age movie. It's a coming of age movie as a teen girl, a dorky teen girl, as a kid in the early 2000s, as a girl going through puberty, as a person of color with strong familial expectations and passed down trauma. This movie was packed with so many themes and so many messages. All these narratives are necessary for Turning Red to work, and coming into the movie with your own preconceived notions basically disables you from absorbing and seeing all of these narratives. Also, Abby's Allegiance, the GOAT, we stand Robert in this channel, argue with your mama, not me. Mink is fine as fuck.